Good day. My name is George Sanders, and I'm back again to give you a little bit of an update with regards to the sewer system here in the town of Littleton. I want you to know that the Light and Electric and Water Department is doing a fantastic job with regards to getting the data that they need to give to the citizen here in Littleton to make a decision about this sewer system. Nick has worked very close with the working committee, and as a member of the working committee, I've been putting a lot of input in and giving it through Nick to the sewer commissioners. And I just want to let you know that President Biden passed a bill that he signed into law, and it talk about the American Rescue Plan funding, $19.5 billion. And after Nick gave me some information about it, I wrote a letter to our 3 state representatives, Laura Trahan, Ed Markey, and Elizabeth Warren. And I asked them to try to get some money from Littleton to help with the water treatment plant. And also that Littleton was trying to get a sewer system going here in the town, and to try to see if they could get some money to help fund that as well. So I think there are those here in the town that are looking and trying to get federal funding to help out on this project, 2 projects if they can. So I just wanted to give you a little heads up that there are people out here trying to get some of this federal funding that has been passed into law. And I just want to give you sort of kind of update with just rough information. When I talk about rough information, I'm talking about the figures that I'm giving you. It could change tomorrow. As it stands right now, a key factor that you need to know, there are approximately 4,088 taxpayers in the town of Littleton. Now, come October or November, it is more likely that that number will increase. So the more taxpayers we have, the lower the amount will be per taxpayer. As you well know, the town has a municipality sewer treatment plant. That plant is old, and right now they're using Band-Aids on it. When I say Band-Aids, they're just putting in money just to keep this thing operation, because it really needs to be replaced. It's age-wise, it's been in service quite a few years. Therefore, all taxpayers in the town of Littleton pays for that treatment plant. Right now, you're paying the operation and maintenance cost, which is added to your yearly taxes that you pay to the town of Littleton. So, in replacing the system, as you well know, they've already increased the discharge site, which is going to be worked on late on this year and hopefully completed. And the system you have is a 20,000 gallon per day plant right now. So with the 20,000 gallon plant being in place today and needing replacement, what would it cost to replace? If you just replace the plant right there, it would probably cost you about $6 to $7 million. But if you relocate where the plant is, which you know is at the high school, then to put it over at the location that they call new location for the treatment plant was to find some land to put the plant and build it on. Well, they sort of kind of came up with 242 King Street. So if they moved to 242 King Street, Well, what they would like to do initially is to build that plant there instead of trying to do some over at the school property. But one of the things I want to tell you now is that when they first talked about this sewer system, there was no need for taxpayers to pitch in. That was the Littleton Smart Sewer System. And under that statute said that all commercial industries would have to sign on, and residents had the right to opt in or opt out. Thinking of that, if you build the new system where the town can expand connection to that system, it will be more beneficial to the town to do that, and it will be a smart thing to do that. And that figure, as you see, just to build that plant for 20,000 gallons per day is $13,350,000. That's not including interest, that's not including maintenance or anything of that. This is where you are now. The amount of money that you would look at, it would be roughly about $108 if you take 30 years, divide it into 13 million, and take the 4,088 taxpayers, it come out to $108. Now, you must understand that irregardless, the town taxpayers will have to pay the interest on the principal. That is the principal amount, that $13,350,000. Now you got operation costs annual that will be added to that 108. Now, what the town would like to do is build a ground up plant which is greater, when you talk about the structure, that is greater than the 20,000 gallons per day. They want to go to 50,000 gallons per day. And the increase on that is only $3,050,000. So you get a total of $16,400. Again, it's not including the interest. And it's, again, 30 years. And having every taxpayer to pay a part of that comes out to roughly $133.72 per annual for taxpayers. The interest, again, and in this portion, we are talking about the interest on the principal and the cost of the operation and maintenance of replacing the plant that is currently available at the high school. Taxpayers will have to spend that money regardless of whether the common area gets tied in on a scenario C or D to the system. You're going to have to pay that amount of money. And the taxpayers, as I said earlier, will more likely increase, but the assessors will not have that information until October or November. I've spoken to them. This is how I got these numbers, the 4,088. But roughly, when we talk about the $16.4 million, $400,000, we are talking about the B scenario as they have it now. They have scenario 1A, 2A, B, C, and D with different amounts. The key is that they're going to build a plant with this $16,400,000. The size of the structure will take care of 50,000 gallons per day, or it will take care of the 104,000 gallons per day. So you don't need to knock out any walls or add to the structure at that $16,400,000 that they're talking. The addition, $11,250,000, that comes out to be $27,650,000. If you go back to the town meeting in 2018, they estimated the smart sewer system will come in roughly about $27 million. And you can see, even today, with what they're wanting to do, you're only $650,000 off. That's pretty close when you consider back 3 years ago that they projected that that smart system would cost that much. There's no more smart sewer system. They're going to build a small treatment wastewater plant here in Littleton, and it is going to require all taxpayers to pitch in for a period of time. What is the period of time? The period of time, as they projected, they're using a figure of 30 years paying off the principal and interest of that $650 million. It is more likely that the $27,650,000, when you add the interest to it, it's going to be a little bit up there, but at the same token, they're hoping that they'll be able to come in pretty close to those figures. Let's talk about what the business, 82 business here. In the stature, they talk about commercial, industrial, they talk about property, they talk about owners, and they talk about parcels. As they have it, calling it the spine connector. The spine connector is coming from the common area, coming down King Street into the plant at 242 King Street. I just throw some figures here on betterment fees, 30, 40, 50. Those are the figures they're tossing around right now. Those figures may not be the figures. We know that most places there's a minimum pretty close to 25 for betterment fees on sewer hookup. So I don't think we'll be lower. Anything, it may be higher. So you're looking at it could be 60, it could be 65, or it could be 70. Who knows? But right now, what they have, they're just throwing these figures, and I just think you as a taxpayer, you ought to have a little bit of knowledge about what's on the horizon, what's coming. And as we look at what's coming, we look at the fact that we're talking about now the businesses is going to be charged a betterment fee. After they apply the betterment fee to the cost of this $11,250,000, whatever the remaining is, they're asking the taxpayers, the $4,088 as it stands right now, to support the difference between what is subtracted from the $11,250,000. They want taxpayers to pick that up. For instance, we take the $30,000. It comes out to be 30 years, $8,790,000. That comes out to $293,000 a year divided by the 4,088 taxpayers. Come out $71.67. So the 1.67 per taxpayer. Now, that's only on the 11,250,000. Now we have to go back and add. I just gave samples 30 years there with 40,000, with 7,000, 7,000 with the 50,000. So the thing that we need to know now is that the plant is built and will be constructed for the 50,000. Period. It's going to be constructed and built for 50,000. Now, that's at the spine of talking about the connection of the scenario C they talked about, or talking about. Now, there's a scenario D. The scenario D just simply adds more capacity in term per day. And that portion is a portion that the town is not quite ready to go to that point right now. But I'm just going to give you some information about it. But I wanted to back up and tell you a little bit more about the scenario C, because the scenario C is where the town sort of kind of made a selection, says which one they would take. Will we do the C or will we do the D? So when they look at it, and I think in keeping in steps with what we knew in 2018, it was around 27 million. So now we're still at that figure, $27,650,000. So on this situation, you're going to take, for instance, B. As I said before, scenario B is building a new plant there. Whether anyone hooks up to the plant, it can stand alone. And that cost for that plant per taxpayer per year is $133.72. If you add the betterment fee of $30,000 that the business pays for that spine, which is that scenario C, whatever the remaining is, once they collect the betterment fee, I just did a rough calculation and it comes out to be $8 million and some dollars. Well, that will give you $71.67. Now you take the 133.72 and the 71.67, you come out with roughly $205.39 annually per taxpayer. That is what you will be paying. Remember, it does not include interest. That is just the principal. Does not include interest, and it will not include, once the C spine is connected, the taxpayers will still have to pay their portion of the municipality's buildings, maintenance, and operation costs. So that will be added to like the $205.39. The other example is $40,000 and $50,000 amount of money that you have there. So we're not really concerned, just giving you an example of rough figures as to how it would be if they apply that. It is more likely than not that the betterment fees will be mixed. So there's an average of a chance of the tax per year per taxpayer probably would be, say, if it's the 30 or 40, they use X number, it will be a little bit higher than the figures that I'm sort of kind of telling you now. They're hoping that when the blueprints come back in, that the numbers that they have right now that I'm talking to you about, they're hoping that it be either that number or less. So, you know, there's nothing like hoping. And if we can get some money from the federal government, that will also help and also reduce the amount that you're going to have to pay. Now, when we talk about the taxpayers, I want to make it clear. The taxpayers were not supposed to be asking, that the town was not supposed to be asking the taxpayers to foot in of the bill when it came to the sewer system. But unfortunately, they had to change this because a lot of data that the town had before was not good data. And when the water department got a hold of this and they signed a consultant engineer into it and started working the figures and stuff and passing back. We had many conference round tables in terms of information that was available there that that the engineers was passing back to us and giving us exactly what was not working, what will not work. And one of the things they said will not work is opting in and opting out. You cannot run a program. You don't have enough people to put in a system that you can say opt in or opt out. So what the town decided with many of the other things with regards to the smart sewer system, when it got over to the water department, the engineer says, hey, you're probably better off, they were talking about taking this into air, piping the water over to the plant, the sewer over to the plant in air. So then that means that the water in Littleton was going to be low. So what they wanted to do, they decided, said, no, let's don't take it to air. Let's take and enlarge our discharge site. Let's put the water back in the ground for Littleton. So that's a smart thing that they decided to do. And I just want to say that there's a lot of consideration that is going into this sewer treatment system. And the municipality right now are fortunate that this system has worked as long as it has, and they really haven't had any problem. As you know, that the nitrogen is a problem here with the water. The PFAS is a problem with the water. It's just that so many contaminants is in the water. We have a great concern. Our water is the most precious commodity that we have here in Littleton, so we need to make sure that we take care of this. And I just want to let you know that these are just rough figures that I sort of kind of came up with based on the amounts of money that they have in the different scenarios here in terms of what we are doing. I want to get to the last part of this, where that we're noting that two things that I wanted to touch bases on is to let you know that it is likely that this system will be the item that the town needs and help recover some of the cost to build this plant is by adding on that spine, which is the connector for the common area to come into King Street at 242 where the plant is designated to be built. Right now, it's going to take the blueprints for the scenario A through C. It's going to have approximate working time about 12 months from now. They don't expect to have anything before then. If they get it early, then we'll find out earlier as to what it is. But the scenario is going to require all taxpayers to support the primary, which is the plant that they're going to build. If nobody connected, the taxpayers would have to foot that bill, as you're doing right now, as you did previously when you built it. And the spine C, built out from the common area, they're only going to come and ask taxpayers one time to help support this project based on the money that is needed for the 30 years. And hopefully, if things work like it should, we're hoping, and when I say we, Littleton Water and the Sewer Commission and the Working Committee is hoping, as Mr. Jim Carr said, listen, once we get up and we can see making that annual payment on this, then what we need to do is step back and say, look, taxpayers, we appreciate the years that you've given us here, but I think that we can go forth with this now on our own. How likely is that? It's remote. But at best, there's nothing wrong with hope. Let's hope you don't have to go 30 years to pay for this. But at the same token, as resident add on to the system, more business add on to the system, the lower the amount will be that everybody will have to pay. So I just want you to know, as taxpayers, we're now being asked to help build this sewer plant. And I think there's a lot of benefit in helping to clean up the contaminants that's put in the ground through our sewer systems, septic systems, and it will help revitalize the common area and hopefully put some good business in there, and that people will be happy with regards to what's going on in Littleton here. At the same token, believe me when I tell you, the Littleton Water Department and the Commission are highly concerned about having to ask taxpayers to kick in on this. But they don't have any recourse. There's no recourse. They have to come at the town meeting and ask you for your support on this project. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to come once again and let you know what's sort of kind of going on. As you well know, I spelled out a little disinformation in the guest column of the Eagle Independent on April the 9th, which the article that was there. So I'm just trying to keep taxpayers abreast as to what is on the horizon here, what is coming down the pipeline. I don't want no surprises hitting you when it comes to the town meeting. Thank you. Have a good day. Stay safe and stay healthy.